He said he would make sure Iran didn't get a nuclear weapon, and he's going about doing that. And thank goodness he's got the courage and the toughness and the willingness to do what he said when most of the other presidents, all the other presidents for 47 years wouldn't do it, but this guy will.
What about his promise in 2024 that if he was reelected, gas would be under $2 a gallon because of his policies?
Well, gas prices were coming down until we had to deal with this situation. But, you know, that's life. That's dealing with world and the world we live in.
Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Is it okay for gas to cost more if you like the reason why? That's the whole fight in this one. Kaitlan Collins had a Republican congressman from Ohio on CNN, and she asked him about gas hitting $4.53 a gallon. This is from earlier this year, so prices have moved around since, but the argument holds up. His answer is that the price is worth it because of what's happening with Iran. Hers is that he said the exact opposite a few years ago, when gas was cheaper than it is now, and she's got the tape. So the real disagreement isn't about foreign policy at all. It's about whether the same number can be a crisis one year and a sacrifice the next. She also asks him about a campaign promise to get gas under $2 a gallon, and his answer there is something he probably wants back. Stick around for the last few minutes because that's where she stops letting him change the subject. Tell me in the comments, do you think the price of gas says anything real about how a president is doing? One line is fine. And drop where you're watching from too. I always like seeing it. Alright, let's get into it.
Was in office. If you thought that was bad, what is $4.53?
Well, we all want gas prices to go down, Kaitlan, but we also are concerned about Iran and this regime that's done so much evil and harm around the world to Americans, to Israelis, to other people, to their own people, for goodness sakes, for 47 years. You can't have that regime getting a nuclear weapon. The president's been clear about that. Secretary of State Rubio's been clear about that. So the president is concerned about the long-term safety of this great country and the citizens who live here. That's what he's focused on. And when you're focused on that, you cannot allow Iran to have a nuclear weapon. That is the fundamental objective here. And yeah, we want the gas prices to come down, but we don't want this country, this regime, having nuclear capability.
So is the argument that if gas prices are high, it's okay as long as it's for the right reason, in your view?
No, the argument is, how is that good for America, for Israel, for the world? How is that good for anyone if this regime, understand how bad they are, Kaitlan. In Iran, wrestling is a big sport. They took this 19-year-old junior champion, one of their star up-and-coming athletes, and because he had protested against the regime, this evil regime that's done all this bad stuff, they hung this guy publicly. That's how bad they are. I think the American people understand, we don't want that regime. The President Trump has been clear, we're not going to let that regime get a nuclear weapon. So yeah, we want gas prices to come down, but we also don't want this evil country and the leadership there to have nuclear capabilities, I said before.
This is what you said in 2022, when gas prices in your home state of Ohio were actually a little bit lower than they are today.
These elites who live here in Washington don't seem to get the fact that folks in like West Central Ohio, North Central Ohio that I get to represent, where you make things, grow things, move things, $5 gas kills the economy.
I mean, what happens to the economy if we hit $5 a gallon now?
Well, it's not good. We'd like it to come down. But, you know, we're also seeing some good signs. In the month of April, we have 115,000 job growth in the economy. There's some good signs out there. We all want prices to come down. We all want things to be more affordable, particularly for young couples who are buying that first home, got a young family. We all want that to happen, but we don't want this country and what they've done over 47 years, the people they've killed, the evil they've been a part of, we don't want them getting a nuclear weapon. So now, and when Biden was driving up the gas prices, it was because of stupid regulation and taxes and everything else and spending. It wasn't to prevent the regime. In fact, they were cozying up to Iran. They were giving them American tax dollars to them. They were doing all kinds of stupid deals. Thank goodness President Trump got us out of that deal and is focused on what's good for the long-term security and safety of the planet. Not just Americans, but the entire planet, because everyone knows this regime is, even China knows this regime is bad, and that's why they've told the president that they want to help us stop this Iran from getting a nuclear weapon.
I mean, China does a lot of business with Iran, but to the point, I mean, it sounds like you're saying gas prices went up under Biden, and I criticized it then because I didn't like why they were going up. I mean, they're going up a lot under this president that you supported, but you're just saying it's for the right reason in your view.
Yeah, and it's for a reason that he told the American people he was going to do. One thing I know about this president, unlike so many other people in elective office, when this president says something, he does what he said. He said he would cut taxes, he did. He said he would secure the border, he did. He said he would make sure Iran didn't get a nuclear weapon, and he's going about doing that. And thank goodness he's got the courage and the toughness and the willingness to do what he said, when most of the other presidents, all the other presidents for 47 years wouldn't do it, but this guy will.
What about his promise in 2024 that if he was reelected, gas would be under $2 a gallon because of his policies?
Well, gas prices were coming down until we had to deal with this situation. But, you know, that's life. That's dealing with world and the world we live in.
$4.53 a gallon, and the very first move is to change the subject. Kaitlan Collins asks him this: if you thought that was bad, what is $4.53? That is a household question. That is a question about money leaving your pocket on a Tuesday morning. And the answer comes back as a lecture about a government on the other side of the planet. You have to understand the trick here, because once you see it, you cannot unsee it. When a politician cannot defend a number, he goes looking for a subject you are not allowed to argue with. Nobody watching is going to stand up and say they want more weapons in more hands, so he parks the whole conversation there and hopes you forget what was actually asked. That is not an answer. That is a hiding place. And here is what people do not realize about why that pump number moved in the first place. This administration went and started something with no stated endpoint, and oil markets do not price intentions, they price risk. The second shooting starts anywhere near the routes the world's fuel travels through, every single barrel gets more expensive, and the bill lands on people who never voted for a war and were never asked about one. Then Kaitlan Collins does the smartest thing in this entire interview. She says this is what you said in 2022, when gas prices in your home state of Ohio were actually a little bit lower than they are today. And then she rolls his own tape, his own voice, a few years younger, telling the country this: $5 gas kills the economy. That is checkmate, and everybody in that studio knew it, because back then, prices at that level were an emergency worth shouting about from a podium. Now, prices at nearly the same level are a patriotic sacrifice you are supposed to accept quietly. Nothing about the family budget changed. The grocery run did not get cheaper. The commute did not get shorter. The only thing that changed is which party is holding the wheel. And watch how quickly he folds when she asks what happens to the economy at $5 today. He admits it would not be good. He says he would like it to come down. That is the sound of a man who just got beaten by himself. Then comes the line that should follow him around for the rest of his career. Asked about the promise that gas would be under $2 a gallon, he says this: but, you know, that's life. That's life. Say that to the person deciding between a full tank and a full cart.
And I think the country gets the fundamental fact, and I know I understand this, President Trump makes decisions that are in the best interest of our nation. 250 years, greatest country in history. He makes decisions that are going to help our country and the long-term security and safety of the people he has and I think you want a commander-in-chief like that. You want a commander-in-chief who's willing to do tough things that he knows are good for us, all of your viewers, everyone in this country, and frankly, everyone around the world. It is good if Iran doesn't get a nuclear weapon.
But if someone's listening to you and they were paying $2.98 a gallon of gas before the war started, and now they're paying $4.53, I mean, saying that's life might not, make them feel better when they're filling up their car.
Your words. Those are your words, not mine. I'm saying.
No, you said that's life just now.
This is the situation. This is the situation. They were pursuing a nuclear weapon. They wanted to get there. President Trump said, I'm not going to do that. He ran on that, and he's taken the appropriate action that I think you want your commander-in-chief to take for the security and safety of America.
But he also ran on bringing gas prices to under $2 a gallon. I mean,
are
voters supposed to look at that and say which one is?
Hopefully we'll get there soon. I want gas prices low, too. I mean, we all want gas prices low. Who doesn't, for goodness sake? But we also don't want Iran to get a nuclear weapon. And I think the country's smart. They understand that decisions have to be made. Let's focus on getting those gas prices down as quickly and as fast as we can. But let's also focus on making sure that this regime, who was willing to hang a 19-year-old star athlete in their country, willing to do that, let's make sure they don't have a nuclear weapon.
You said that's life. I was just quoting what you said a second ago. Those were not my words. Those were your words.
No, I'm not saying that's life. I'm saying life sometimes throws things at you that you didn't anticipate, and you have to deal with it. And you want a commander-in-chief who will deal with it and deal with it in a way that is focused on the safety of the people he was elected to serve and protect.
The president was asked about this as he was departing the White House for China, and this is what he told reporters about that.
President, to what extent are Americans' financial situations motivating you to make a deal?
Not even a little bit. The only thing that matters when I'm talking about Iran, they can't have a nuclear weapon. I don't think about Americans' financial situation. I don't think about anybody. I think about one thing. We cannot let Iran have a nuclear weapon. That's all.
Even if you agree with the war, and you clearly do, is he not minimizing what Americans are feeling because of the war?
No, come on, Caitlin. This is a president who did the largest tax cut in American history, letting American families keep more of their money. Of course he cares about them having the revenue and the sources and affordability concerns. This is the president who said we should suspend the gas tax to help families deal with the price they're paying for fuel at the pump today. So, of course he cares about that, just like I care about this, just like we all care about that. But he also cares about making sure this country long-term is safe. And again, I've said it several times, I think that's what you want in a president. That's what you want in a commander-in-chief. That's what you want in your leader. As the chief executive of the executive branch of our government, that's what you want. So I think you can be focused on all that, try to help on all that, but you have to deal with this threat that is imminent, according to the Secretary of State, according to the president. They were close to getting this capability, and that's why he took the action he did.
And then he tries to hand his own sentence to somebody else. He looks at Kaitlan Collins and says this, "Those are your words, not mine. Sir, we all heard it. It happened about 90 seconds earlier. This is the part that blows my mind. Saying something careless on live television is human. Everybody has done it. But denying it while the tape is still warm to a journalist who is literally holding the transcript is a level of confidence you only get from never being told no." And Kaitlan Collins does not blink. She tells him this, "Those were not my words. Those were your words. No shouting, no insult, just the receipt placed on the table." And he immediately starts rebuilding the sentence into something softer about how life throws things at you that you did not anticipate. That is what a cornered argument sounds like when it is trying to walk backward without turning around. Then they play the president's own remark, and honestly, this is heavier than anything the congressman said all night. The president says this, "I don't think about America's financial situation. Let that sit for a second. Not, I think about it and I have decided the cost is worth paying. Not, I know families are hurting and here is the plan." He said the financial condition of this country does not enter his mind, and you have to understand what leadership normally looks like during a fuel shock, because this country has lived through one before. In 1973, an oil embargo hit the United States. Prices exploded, stations ran dry, and lines stretched around the block. Washington did not shrug at people. It built the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. It changed fuel rules. It treated the cost of energy as a real emergency for ordinary households. Agree or disagree with those specific decisions, that was a government that considered your budget its business. So when Kaitlan Collins asks him this, is he not minimizing what Americans are feeling because of the war? That is not a gotcha. That is the job description. And his answer is a tax cut from the past, then a gas tax idea that has not happened. Notice the pattern? Every defense he has lives either in the past or in a maybe. Not a single one of them lives at the pump this week. Here is my honest take. If a mission is important enough to raise the cost of living for the entire country, then be a grown-up about it. Say so plainly. Tell people what winning looks like, what it costs, and when it ends. Nobody has done that. There is no finish line, no number, no date, just an open-ended situation, and a bill that keeps arriving every time you fill up.
In your view, is the cost of a gallon of gas reflective on the president's job performance?
No, the president I think he's done a great job. He's done what he said. As I said before, he's cut taxes, secured the border, did it in record time on securing the border. Things that we all ran on that the American people elected us to do. We've been able to do that. And like I've said now, we want gas prices to come down, certainly, but we also have to deal with this threat that is very real, that is as real as it gets. These people are as dangerous as it gets. 47 years, they've killed Americans, they've killed Israelis, they've killed others, they've killed thousands of their own people, including their star athletes. So that's the situation we're in. President Trump understands we have to address that.
But do you think Americans feel that way? I mean, you look at CNN polling, 70% of Americans say that he's doing a bad job on the economy. That is rare for President Trump. I don't even think he got below 50% even during COVID in his first term. I mean, when was the last time 70% of Americans agreed on anything?
Well, I think most Republicans think President Trump's doing a good job. I've seen polling. I don't trust all the polling you see. All I know is I think Americans appreciate leaders who actually do what they said they were going to do. And President Trump does that
But he
better
said
than
he
any
was going to
elected
bring
official I've
prices
ever seen
down
in
for
my lifetime.
Americans, and inflation is up and gas is
And he's working on that, Caitlin. And look, let's hope they do come down. We're working on bringing them down. There's things we can do. Earlier this week, he proposed a moratorium on the or scaling back the gas tax for a while, for some time frame. I'm all for looking at those kind of things as well. But let's focus on the objective here.
Americans like presidents who keep their promises. You were just questioning a witness about this today, someone who said one thing on the campaign and did something when in office. The president said he'd bring down inflation and gas prices would be under $2 a gallon. Neither of those things are close to being true right now as we talk.
Well, his term's not up. He's going to keep working on that, and hopefully we'll have him down.
Kaitlan Collins asks him this: in your view, is the cost of a gallon of gas reflective on the president's job performance? And that is the question the entire interview was built toward, because for years, that big yellow sign on the corner was treated as the scoreboard for the whole country. It was the proof. It was the argument you could see from a moving car without reading a single policy paper. Now the same number is suddenly meaningless, irrelevant, nothing to do with anybody in charge. A measuring stick that only counts when it flatters you is not a measuring stick. It is a prop. Then comes the polling, and his response tells you everything. 70% of Americans saying the economy is being handled badly. 70%, you cannot get 70% of this country to agree on what to order for dinner. And his answer is this: I don't trust all the polling you see. That is not confidence. That is a man plugging his ears. And notice what he reaches for instead. He says most Republicans are happy. Great. Most Republicans are not 70% of the country. When your defense requires shrinking the audience down to only the people who already agree with you, you have quietly admitted you lost everybody else. And here's the piece I keep coming back to, because it is the funniest and saddest part of the whole thing. His central argument for the last 10 minutes was that this president keeps his promises. He built his entire case on that one virtue. He listed accomplishment after accomplishment to prove it. And the specific promise being discussed, the one about $2 gas, is the one that got broken. He used the standard, and then the standard was applied to him, and he had nothing left. Kaitlan Collins closes it out and does not soften anything. She points out that he spent his own day questioning someone about saying one thing on the campaign and doing another. Then she says this: neither of those things are close to being true right now as we talk. And his final defense, the last thing he has in the bag, is this: well, his term's not up. Think about what that sentence quietly confesses. It is not a defense of the record. It is a request for more time. It is trust me later, please stop asking me now. That is the answer of somebody who knows the number is not moving and is hoping you will be too tired to check again next month. And the reason this matters far beyond one bad interview is that this is how the cost of a war gets buried. Not with a big announcement, but with an 11-minute conversation where the person responsible never has to say what the goal is, never has to say when it ends, and gets to treat your grocery bill as a small patriotic contribution you volunteered for without being asked. You did not volunteer. You are just paying. So what do you guys think of this? Leave your thoughts down in the comments. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.